Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lamone, and this is the Wrestling Kickback. This is the show where we have some wrestling topics that, I just generally feel like talking about, usually only going to be three. And we are going to kick back and talk about it. Oh, and there's Crash over there, wanted to walk in the background. But before we get into the topics, let's get the house clean out of the way, shall we? I'm going to need you to leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on these topics so we can have a conversation in the comments. And of course, hit that subscribe button as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. And it also helps give Crash a treat. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into the topics, shall we? So we're going to talk about three topics. One, being that I do believe WWE is in brand new territory where it does truly feel like a new era. Also, we will be talking about the Brawl Out footage, giving my thoughts on that, if that was the right decision for AEW to do or not. And we're going to talk about our drafts beneficial for the wrestling business. I got a little tongue-tied there. Within both WWE and AEW, we're not just going to talk about the WWE draft. And first and foremost, we're going to talk about wrestling being in completely brand new territory with the champions that they have, with Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest as the main world champions of each brand. So for the first time in a really long time, we have two full-time champions, which is very exciting to see, where we'll have both world champions on every PLE for the most part. Now, me, granted, personally, I like it when they spare them a little bit, where both titles are only on the line at the Big Four or Big Five, if you will. And that, if you're the main champion, it should be an attraction to see you defend your title. I like the World Heavyweight title, and I liked, we did what we had to do with Rollins as champion. To me, I just like the defenses to be more spared because that is the main belt. Now, I did, have a thought, like, Cody should probably bring back the open challenges when he does win the Undisputed title, because that title didn't really have many defenses towards the end of it, and, like, hey, this belt needs to catch up. So that was my one exception, but for the most part, I personally like it when they spare them. But I am excited that, we do have two full-time champions again, which means one title kind of suffers a little bit. But again, they're in brand new territory, because I believe this is maybe the first time ever, someone can fact check me on that one, where both of the main champions have never been champion before. Like, I'm having a really hard time thinking when was the last time. Was it 21? Was both Batista and Cena, that was their first time as world champion? Okay, so maybe it's not the first time ever, but it's been a long time since this happened. And, both Batista and Cena went on to be do great things. So we already know Damian's first title defense, and it's against Jey Uso. And everyone's going like, blah, man, yeah, it's bad, it's a bad time. Like, they're both of the main events of Raw, like, consistently. See, even Crash agrees that they are consistently in the main event. In the main event picture, they were both in War Games. They have history. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great match. I just think the narrative maybe changed a little bit for fans once they had the belt, because now it's not about, because Damian Priest versus Jey Uso is a PLE match. Or if it is on TV, it goes on last. It just does. Because of the status of where those characters are now within WWE. So therefore, it is a premium live event match. But now people are like, oh, he's a main champion. Is this really a main title match? Because we're so used to Seth and, and Drew and all these real big players within the picture. And now we have new faces. I think the same thing is going to happen with Cody Rhodes as well, where we're like, okay, so now it's Cody's first defense, and they just announced on SmackDown that we have two triple threats: Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and Rey Mysterio. That's going to be a fun match. I'm sorry. It's going to be great. And we have Santos Escobar, Bobby Lashley, and LA Knight. And the winners of those triple threats will face each other in the main event. I think a lot of people are thinking, yeah, this is all great premium live event type matches. Is it a world title match, though? I don't know. I think AJ is going to win, and he's probably going to have help with the new Fatu that they just signed. I'm not really familiar with him. I can't remember his name. I just know A lot of people were like, they just signed another Fatu, and he's going to join the Bloodline, all that stuff. But I think he should move away from that. And with AJ being a heel, and now that the club is on NXT now, just squeeze him in and just have him with AJ to help with the heel run so that they can justify it. And I think that's a good first defense for Cody. I would like for it to be Sheamus, but hey, it is what it is. But the thing overall is that AJ versus Cody is a great PLE match. Is it a world title match though? I think that remains to be seen. Now the match is going to be amazing. I'm sure once we watch it, we're like, wow, that was great. But I think a lot of the crowd reaction is going to be like, that's not a world title match. This is horrible. Roman should have kept the belt. Like, I'm just waiting for that to happen. What are you doing? My dog is just being so weird. But yeah, it's just really exciting that we have, fresh faces, and it will be interesting to see how long it takes until people go up the rosters, run too thin. And I'm also excited for when the draft does happen. And I do think Cody's going to go to Raw, because I think they're going to beef up Monday nights quite a bit for when they go to Netflix. And Damian will be going to SmackDown with some of, some other big players. I think Randy's going to stay on Friday nights. I would also imagine maybe CM Punk goes to Friday nights as well, but we'll save that for when we get to the draft section topic. Now, let's get into maybe why the main thing you clicked on this is to get some random person's thoughts on AEW releasing the Brawl Out footage. I originally wasn't going to talk about it because why beat a dead horse? I feel like we're all in agreement on whether they should have aired it or not at this point, which is no. I don't think they should have aired it. And I don't think they even should have brought it up. And I also don't think they need to keep taking jabs at WWE. They have been their own company since 2019, which is 5 years now. It's time to make your own path. These cheap jabs that you take to be, shocking, all that stuff. I mean, it treats your, main audience, which is, the real hardcore fans. I would say I am a casual wrestling fan who leans slightly hardcore. It's like the political metrics thing. You have your 4 topics, and you see where you land. And I'm just barely towards hardcore, but mainly casual nonetheless. And they treat that type of audience. They were always like that. That's why I was so turned off on AEW from the get-go. It's just like, man, you cannot be your own product. You always got to bring your WWE and some of the mistakes that they make, and what have you. And then, when Punk came back, he got me into watching AEW weekly, which I'm sure he did for most people. And then, all that stuff happened, and then I got turned off again. Then they signed Will Ospreay. Then they signed Mercedes Moné, a.k.a. Sasha Banks. They signed Adam Copeland. They signed a bunch of people. Jay White. And I love Jay White, and I love Will Ospreay. And then they signed Okada. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into it again. And they have done great for, I want to say, 4 weeks. However weeks it was when they were really building up to Revolution, like really building up to Revolution, when they were focusing in on it. And then past that, I thought they did great until last week. Now, when they announced it, me as a normal person was very much, like most people, I want to see it. Like, don't get me wrong. Do I think AEW made a mistake showing the footage? Yes. As a nosy person who just wanted to see it, was I definitely going to tune in to watch it? Yes. And for the most part, with how the show went, they were really trying to sell Dynasty or Dynasty, however you pronounce it. And I feel like they were really using someone that's in another company's name to get more buys for their pay-per-view. Which, that's fine. That's great. I mean, that should be your goal, is to sell your pay-per-view. But sell it with the superstars that you have. And look, AEW is a young company. Do I think this kills AEW completely? No, not at all. Not even close. I mean, this decision that AEW made is still better than most of the decisions that WWE did in 2019. Right? We can all agree with that. Like, them showing this footage is probably a better decision to make than having Baron Corbin throw dog food on Roman Reigns. AEW showing this footage is probably a better choice to make than having Shane McMahon win a tournament for best wrestler in the world when he wasn't even in the tournament to begin with. This decision that AEW made to release this footage is probably a better decision than having Goldberg go over The Fiend. I can go on and on and on about the decisions WWE made in 2019. I did see a lot of people go, this is WCW 2000 level bad. I can't attest to that. I didn't watch WCW in 2000s. I'm glad I didn't, for how many people say it was the worst thing ever. But no, I only have 2019 WWE to go off of. So, there. This decision is not as bad as those. It's what I'm basically trying to make. And of course, they're a young company. When WWE was first starting, and then they first got, punched in the face by WCW, and WCW started making momentum, WWE made some bad decisions. They had some parody videos and taking shots at them and all that stuff. And, I'm sure people made fun of WWE for that too. AEW's going to grow from this. They're going to learn from this. They knew they made a mistake afterwards, and they, hey, let's copyright so that way we could try to move on from this as much as possible. Hopefully they never speak of it again, and they just move on. And then also the follow-up with Will Ospreay taking shots at Triple H. And, I thought this too on Wednesday. I was like, I don't know if Will Ospreay is completely behind talking about this too, because he seems a little more off. I agree. Since he's joined AEW, this is probably his weakest promo, right? And part because he didn't fully believe it. I'm sure he believes that, I'm not fucking lazy. And he has every right to. I mean, he goes from London to whatever city AEW's in at the time. From my understanding, that's how his schedule is. Wherever city AEW's in, he goes there and then he goes back to London. That's my understanding of it. If anyone actually knows Will Ospreay's schedule, please comment below and let me know. Well, I think a lot of people take the grind thing out of proportion, and who knows if Triple H was even talking about Will Ospreay to begin with, is that, look, yes, Will does grind, going to UK and then going to America, then going to UK and then going to America, and so on and so forth. But a WWE wrestler, if they're on SmackDown, they have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe they get to go home on Monday. They probably have to go backstage for Raw just to see if, in case a fire extinguisher needs to be let go and they need to send someone out there. Or if you're like Cody Rhodes, who literally does Raw, SmackDown, live event, Raw, SmackDown, live event, Raw, SmackDown, so on and so forth. It's a grind. That is a grind. And then you also have TV appearances to do on talk shows and podcasts and all those types of things. It's a real grind to be a WWE superstar. So he was probably just talking about that, and it probably wasn't Will Ospreay. It could have been Okada, because I know they were talking. It could have been Mercedes for all we know. Like, hey, I just want to be used sparingly. And that they saw them. Hey, we want you to be full time, and they're like, nah, I don't really want that. And that's okay. That's completely okay. But I went off on a tangent for a little bit. Back to the footage. No, they shouldn't have shown it. No, this isn't the worst thing that AEW has ever done. No, they'll probably do something worse later. And they will learn from this, and they will grow from it, and hopefully they just move on to it, and they go back to what was really giving them momentum up to Dynasty, whatever we're calling the pay-per-view, and that is just focusing on their talent. Because honestly, out of everyone involved within that footage and showing it, the only person who really benefited from that is Drew McIntyre, right? This is gonna be great use on Monday when he comes out. You just help the ratings of Raw for Drew, which is really backwards, but it is what it is, and hopefully they learn from it. And I do hope AEW gets back to where they can average 1 million viewers every week again. They can maybe go to smaller arenas and fill those out a little bit more. You know, get the crowd louder. And again, just also the other thing with AEW, I'm going on a tangent on them, but you know, use the moves more sparingly. Like, don't just have 20 Canadian destroyers. A Canadian destroyer on TV should be a finisher. But, you know, that's probably going to be a topic for another kickback, and I'll probably get a lot of crap for it. But, you know, I'm all up for a open civil debate. An open civil debate. And I'll know if it is by reading the comments. Basically, if, you know, you make fun of the tooth, then I know, okay, no, this person's civil. They're just, you know, insecure that I disagree with their views. We can disagree all we want. Let's just be civil about it, okay? But I'm all for the discussion on how AEW does matches, because I'm personally not the hugest fan of them. Now, on to the final topic. Should both WWE and AEW be using drafts? I think so. Maybe more AEW than WWE. Now look, I am a fan of them when they are actually enforced. That 2016 draft, when, you know, they were truly felt like their own entities, was great. It was fantastic, and it was one of the best runs WWE ever went on. Then they did the whole Superstar shakeup, and then it broke. I don't think there needs to be a draft every single year. I said this in my Raw review as well, that, you know, I think every other year, you know, you go 2 years with the roster that you have, and then you shake it up a little bit on the second year and go back to the format of where you have a Raw guy and a SmackDown guy. They have a match, then whoever wins gets the pick, and, you know, the randomizer comes up and goes na 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 na, and then we see who comes out and it's like, wah! Instead of doing it like an actual draft. But I know they're gonna do it like that. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I think the draft is beneficial because it gets a lot more people on TV too, and you can create more stars as long as you enforce it. I do think that, you know, with them not going to brand strict premium live events is going to hurt them, because, you know, you kind of limit yourself to the amount of people that you can use on each card, where if you have brand exclusive premium live events, then, you know, you can really expose more people, because, you know, they get more time on TV because you just focus on that, and then you only do the big five where you merge both brands together. But also with, you know, WWE doing the NBC deal, and, you know, we're gonna have them on NBC, maybe we can make those brand exclusive. Like, okay, Raw, you get the first one, SmackDown, you get the second one, and we can get them on primetime television and then expose the roster that way. That could also work. I could see that. To me, I just think a brand split benefits everyone overall, especially, you know, with the champions. And now that everyone's full-time, we can really expose those, and the tag titles are now split, so now we can expose more tag teams, which again gets more bodies on television. It just benefits everyone completely, and especially with AEW, because they have way too many fucking belts. And I really do feel like Tony Khan forgets that he has some champions sometimes. Like, I don't know, when was the last time the trios titles were even defended? You know? Like, make those a focus again. And again, with the brand split, and, you know, you got, all right, Collision has the trios titles. Okay, we move all the trios over to Collision, and we can really just focus on that brand on Saturdays. As for Wednesdays, we have the tag team titles. Okay, and then we have just the tag teams over there, and then we can really expand that a little bit. They have 3 singles titles. And did they give up on the ranking system? I guess so, because Mercedes Moné's automatically getting a title match, which is also going to be her debut at Double or Nothing. It's a little lengthy. I don't know if that's the best choice, AEW. I think, you know, put her in some matches, because, you know, she is great at wrestling. Let her wrestle. But yeah, you can also, you have 2 women's titles. You split those up. Each one is its own thing. You got 3 singles titles. Elevate the international or the continental title to the main title. You got those separate with 1 mid-card title for each on the other shows, because then you got, yeah. You know, you could have AEW champion, TNT champion, tag team champions, and then the TBS title on one. And then you could do the international and continental title on Saturdays with the trios titles and the AEW women's champion. And then there you go. You just split everyone up. Miro can get back on TV if because he disappeared. I think it was announced that he was hurt, but I don't really fully know. Malachi Black can do some singles matches again. Um, who else? Britt Baker can come back on TV. Where the hell has she been? She was really my favorite wrestler from AEW for the longest time, and now she's just gone. Yeah, you could. I just think if they would just kept with the brand split, I think the reason why they were doing the brand split because of CM Punk was stupid and was not going to work, because you were just avoiding a problem instead of just handling the problem one way or another. Either force them to kiss and make up or let CM Punk go. And from what I understand from the interviews with CM Punk, he agrees. But overall, I do think a brand split will be beneficial for AEW because it exposed the titles and it could actually make some of the titles actually mean something, and also stop showcasing the Ring of Honor. They have their own show, and if a New Japan star comes by and they have a title, maybe not let them show it, because it does make it seem like it's a participation prize at some point. So yes, at the end of the day, I think brand splits would be beneficial for not just WWE, but both in AEW as well. But let's get in the comments. So let's talk about all these. Do you agree that WWE's in a new era? Or they are in a new era, but is it brand new territory? It's a little scary with how these championship matches are, because now it's not about, hey, that'll be a good premium live event fight. Is it a good enough title fight, though? With Jey Uso versus Damian Priest, and then what I'm thinking is going to be Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. The second choice would be Bobby Lashley for me personally. Good premium live event fights, but are they championship worthy fights? And then, the Brawl Out footage, was it the right thing to do, was it not? And also, with how AEW does matches, is it good, is it not? And is it beneficial to have brand splits for not just WWE, but for AEW as well? And that'll be it for me, guys. Again, hit that comment section below. If you did like this video, hit the thumbs up. And until next time, guys, Crash and I will see you later here at Lemon Studios.